What is happening? This is the Try Not to Laugh podcast. I am Brandon, and with me until he gets big enough to fly away like a hot air balloon is...
Greetings, this is Andy.
And we are just two lifelong buddies trying to navigate this crazy world through comedy and just fly away, yeah.
Yeah! Yeah!
Welcome, everybody, to our life. Fat life. You and I have actually turned our lives around. That's been the topic of discussion for us. Collectively, you and I have lost an elephant.
I'd say a baby elephant, maybe a toddler elephant.
I've been able to imprison this fatty, and I've come back stronger and more powerful. This year, like I said, we have collectively probably lost about, 150-ish pounds or so, right? 145, something like that.
Collectively, we lost a New York 6.
And I was going to say, that's a bit husky of a gal.
Well, yeah, exactly. Yeah. All right, New York 4.
Yeah.
But with great tits.
Right, but she's got it. She's got an ass. She's got a fang.
Right, she's thick. She's thick, but we lost her.
I mean, we've struggled with this our entire lives, ever since we've been little. I mean, taking me through my life. I mean, this started all the way back in Brooklyn for me, where I was born and raised. I remember some of my youngest memories was in my grandma's house, just cooking. I was like 8 years old. She let me cook anything I wanted. I'll never forget. She let me cook latkes, matzo ball soup. I had like an entire Passover dinner, and that's just like a snack. And she's like, "You still hungry? We can go out to dinner at a Chinese restaurant."
I remember going to my grandma's, and she never really let me cook. Like, I could take whatever I wanted out of the fridge, and there was always the candy jar that I would raid like it was like I was pillaging her kitchen. But it was funny because my family's Eastern European. So it was always like really odd foods or like odd variations of Americanized food. So we'd be walking home and pass a McDonald's. I'm like, McDonald's. I'm like, can I get chicken nuggets? She's like, I make you chicken nuggets at home. And then we go back to her house and she would make like these little miniature schnitzels. And she'd be like, chicken nugget.
Oh, that's so much better. You should have told her to really get that McDonald's effect. Grandma, leave it all in. Don't cut off the...
Don't
cut off the nails. Leave them.
Right, the talons, the beak.
What the hell's that thing that's on the top? I just
You know, when you're little and you have grandparents, you know, they love to watch you eat. And I mean, I've always had an issue with overeating as long as I can remember. Some of my earliest memories are just me gorging myself at a picnic or a dinner table.
I would eat until I would stumble like Mick Jagger at a concert right now. I mean, you're right. You're replacing trying to actually solve your problems with like a sausage.
You're referring to it as problem solving. Is overeating problem solving? And if so, what kind of problems do you have at that age? You know, like unless you're being emotionally or physically abused, which I don't think either of us really were, except having Jewish mothers. I mean, that's technically emotional abuse right off the bat.
That's emotional abuse. I mean,
yeah.
I think the abuse that you take. I think I'd rather I'd rather get bombarded at Normandy, for God's sake.
Front line's better than fucking Jewish mother. It's definitely a problem. Like, what is it really solving? You know, because like an 8-year-old who's overeating, they just love to eat. I don't think it's a coping mechanism.
Okay, so you think that only later in life did I figure out that that's what I'm doing. But at that point, you just love the taste. You just can't stop eating.
It's just so delicious. And kids don't understand limitations on food or rationing their shit. Like, oh, my parents just went shopping. Let's make this last.
You don't think there's that coping mechanism?
No, I think that comes later in life. Maybe it's an extension of that feeling, you know, that comfort that you get from overeating and eating delicious foods when you're younger and not really caring. Maybe that's what it is. Maybe it's the lack of caring and it gives you such a freedom when you're eating.
You know why? Because people don't tell kids that they're fat enough. You got to tell them early. Like, I'll go up to my kids and I'll say, fat, 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 fat. And then what I'll do is I'll couple that with then trying to get them to understand. I'll start showing them fat pictures. So I'll start Googling fat 8-year-olds or fat 4-year-olds. I figure if I start my daughter now, she just turned 4, so if she knows the ideal body image now, I feel that she will maintain.
Whose pictures are you showing to your 4-year-old? What, like, because that means that's your ideal woman.
I mean, I thought everyone shows pictures to 4-year-old of Brooklyn Decker and Giselle Bundchen. Am I off?
They're really thin.
Hear me out, though, Ann. They're healthy. They're
Are they?
healthy.
That's healthy?
Healthy, Ann. Okay, that is a healthy weight to maintain. And you know what? I also do a backup plan. If she doesn't quite understand, I'll show her Barbie. It's easy now. We just got her the Barbie dream house. And I thought years ago that they said Barbie's going to have a realistic image. But it's great to know they didn't really make good on that at all. Just take a look at Barbie. She's as thin as can be. Thin as a rail, blonde, hottie, not a stitch of fat on there. There is no pockmarks on her thighs. There's no junk in the trunk, and there's just, well, maybe it's a little bit of that. So they did it at the time when people were talking about it. They made a line of like Husky Harriets over there, or like, you know, like, but what's funny is here's the funny part that got me. It was all about the girl, right? So they made her into something that was more believable, or that people can wrap their head around. So it was the girl that was like 140, 150. But Ken still remained ripped. Okay, that not a single ounce was given any thought to that maybe a guy had an issue with taking a look. Because you know what the difference between guys and girls are? When I see a guy that's ripped, I say, I want to look like that guy. So I've got to work out and I've got to do potentially what it takes to try and make that happen. I don't form this problem and, you know, start throwing up. But guys do, I'm sure.
Right. And you don't get like overly defensive or resentful to the point where you're just like, I'm going to go let the air out of that prick's tires. Fuck him and his perfect V.
Yeah, I mean, fuck him and that perfectly notched thing right above his schmeen, you know?
Oh, that perfect ass and those calves. Oh,
yeah. All right.
Fuck
Andy.
him. Oh, that chiseled fucking jaw. What were we talking about?
Talking about you coming out of the closet on the show. But that you're right. That doesn't bother us. I mean, do you know how many times I've gotten called fat fuck, whale?
That's just by your parents.
We're not like that. I mean, look at us back in high school. Look at how that held us back all the way in high school because of the fact that we would go to Taco Bell and get a grande meal and we would split it. Well, the intention of the grande meal was to feed a family, 5 tacos and 5 burritos. And then I think with a side of nachos or cinnamon twists. And I remember we would split that. That would be just the two of us.
At the height of my fatness, I remember I had a contest once with an old friend of mine who challenged me to eat an entire grande meal. And then we had a race to see who would finish theirs first.
Oh, who would throw up the fastest?
It was 5 tacos, 5 burritos, a Mexican pizza, and nachos. He beat me by half a Mexican pizza, which I would have finished. He just ate it first.
There's no way that after that, your stomach didn't want to leave your body. Like it said, you know what? I'll fire myself. I'll see myself out of this body.
I quit. Either I find a way out of here through his ass or I give myself cancer.
Well, do you remember when I used to have that idea that I told you many years ago to eat on the toilet because I thought magically I thought that it would just come out. So why not just eat on the toilet and just cut out?
I still remember that. And I remember what you called it too. Do you?
No.
The free fall. You referred to it as the free fall, and you would go to buffets, take your plate, and go sit in the bathroom. Or we'd be having dinner at my house, and you'd excuse yourself from the table, but bring your plate with you.
Never mind the science of processing in 24 hours of digestion. I wasn't going to hear of it.
Fuck all that. You'd just turn around and you'd look at me, you'd be like, free fall.
Think of all the places that we've actually eaten in. Like I've actually eaten in closets. They call it closet eating, but I've actually eaten in a closet so that I wouldn't get like caught eating. So I've actually eaten over trash cans so that just in case somebody comes, throw right in the trash. Right in the trash so that there's no evidence.
I don't know if I ever really hid eating, but like there were times where like I would just want to eat something because I guess I just didn't want to share the experience with people, or like I just wanted to eat something on the way home because I knew that wherever we were having wasn't going to fill me up. So like I would stop and just get like a couple of like cheesy bean and rice burritos on my way home.
Hit up the dollar menu.
Oh, like that dollar menu. If you spend $10 or more on the dollar menu at Taco Bell, you've reached our level.
Congratulations. Oh, by the way, if you don't feel your ankle,
you need to promise us you're not going to eat this all in one sitting. If there's any tingling in your left arm, we're not responsible.
I promise.
I'll sign it in like fucking hot sauce.
You're telling me you've never hidden food anywhere?
No, not hidden as in like keep a cake under my bed. I guess I did have a stash of candy in my closet when I was a kid, but
Okay.
that's just, that was just my stash.
I would leave stuff under couches, under pillows, under car seats. It didn't matter anywhere, just because I didn't want like people seeing. It's so funny in that respect. Like you're hiding stuff, thinking that no one's going to realize that you're blowing up into a blimp, but you are anyway. So even if you don't eat in front of people, I mean, you got to be eating somewhere. You don't just get fat just by looking at air and food and putting that
True.
together and inhaling that air. I remember we had a friend and his mom made the pretty much like one of the best chicken cutlets, and we were about to go out to eat, and I saw this chicken parm, and I'm like, I gotta have this. And like those big New York bagels, I was like, I'm gonna take this, and they're like, we're about to go out to eat for dinner. I'm like, don't worry about me. I'm good. This is like shooting a 9mm into a tank. Okay, folks? Do not worry. The tank will still be going. Okay. So I took that chicken, put it right in that bagel, and ate it right in front of everyone right before we went out to dinner. People were like, it's almost like I was doing a magic trick.
Because I guess like competitive eaters, they'll eat, watermelon and lettuce and stuff like that. You go for like chicken parm on a bagel.
I remember when I did a full eating tour. Burger King, McDonald's, Taco Bell, White Castle, Wendy's.
Oh my God.
It was so good until you hate yourself. Hours later, you're just like...
Right. So you get that food hangover.
Well, it's almost like you just got drunk and you're on the floor. And you know how you always say, I'll never drink again. I will never do this again. You hate yourself so much. Why did I do this? But you know what I also think, though? Part of it's the food. Part of it's just loving food. So we're food lovers at heart. Part of it is just an addiction, But part of it, I think, believe it or not, and this was always up until this moment, I guess, I always thought that I had to stay fat because I wouldn't be funny without being fat. So I always
you correlate fatness with humor?
Correct. Like all the greats, like Kevin James and like Louis Anderson and him and John Pinette, who you remember he used to talk about the buffets, everything. I always felt like that physical comedy or you had to be fat for it.
Yeah. Watching a fat person fall is always funnier than watching a thin person fall, but you don't have to be fat to write good jokes. I don't think. Right. Unless, of course, that is your... All right, I'll preface this by saying any good art must come from suffering. You can't be a normal, well-adjusted human being and be an amazing artist in any form, whether it's comedy or actual artwork, music. I feel like that needs to come, like transcendent art must come from a place that is a place of pain or some kind of suffering or some kind of just insecurity. And being fat helps with that, because like a good looking thin comedian, unless they've gone through some sort of trauma, I don't imagine they're going to be a great comedy writer or a great comedian.
Are there any absolutely great looking comedians?
Anthony Jeselnik's a really good looking guy.
All right.
But so I don't know what his life has been like. Maybe his dad raped him when he was a kid, and that's what makes him so funny and cynical.
He'll make a joke out of that.
I mean, there aren't many.
He's a good example. There are many. He's a good example.
Like, let's assume you have no other real issues. Like, you've lived a totally normal life and not gone through any, like, real trauma. Being overweight is your trauma. That is your cross to bear.
Right. You're right. So it comes from pain. That's why you get it, because all the stuff that comes with it. It's all the getting called names. It's all the missed opportunities. It's all the fact that you're not getting any ass because of the way you look,
Right. It's insecurity, it's rejection, it's all those things that make you feel like shit. So you may have the best parents in the world, you may live in a nice neighborhood and do well in school and have a good job. If you're fat, like, you feel a pain that normal people cannot relate with.
They don't get that you've gotten all that.
Right. The same way that someone else may be really good looking, but they got like the shit beat out of them by their dad growing up, or that is their pain.
Which would you take? Would you take being real good looking but getting beat, or fat but a good family life? I take fat, good family life, because you could always change the fatness.
I think maybe when you're younger, you don't understand how to change it. And maybe if there aren't people that are teaching you correct lifestyle choices and what to do, as you get older, you'll learn those things. You'll learn it on your own. That being said, you still carry that same pain that you went through in the first half of your life.
Carried a lot of things. You carried a lot of weight around you. So.
Yeah. Oh, my poor legs.
My poor knees. When I used to try and tie my shoes, that was like a big day out. I was like, all right. And wait. Okay. Wait. Hold on. Wait. Okay. Almost. Oh. You know, that's a problem. Not looking good in everything. In anything. Nothing fits. Nothing fits.
You have to shop like exclusively at Walmart.
I would shop at Harris Teeter, garbage bag section. Does the black one make me look fat?
Get the Ultra Flex.
Do you know how many times that my buttons would pop that I would have to take paper clips, or like the clips that you clip a large stack of paper, because the buttons would rip, they'd pop, they'd be gone. I always thought the movie Heavyweights was about me. I thought that was my life.
I felt exactly the same. Holy fuck. You know what's sad, though? I watched that when I was younger, and I felt exactly that way. And then now that my kids are getting older, my older son, he was feeling really bad about his weight. I didn't even think about it, so I put on Heavyweights. I'm like, you're going to love this. This movie's hilarious. And we're watching it, and I could see it all over his face that, like, he had the same connection that you and I had with that movie, where he was just like,
that's my life.
Fuck, like that's me. And then you're looking at the main character and you're like, that kid's not even that big, but they're sending him to fat camp. I'm like, he's my size, because they found a very relatably sized lead for that movie.
Was it Goldberg? I'm trying to think. Was it Goldberg?
That's that really fat kid, like the fattest kid in camp, right?
Was he the fattest kid in camp at the Goldberg?
Yeah. Remember he got on the scale?
Get on the scale. Get off the scale, kid. Get off the scale.
And then the other guy's like, congratulations. You are officially the fattest kid in camp.
Do you feel like it got through to him? Do you feel like now the mistakes you made, you can now pass it on to him and help him out so that he doesn't go through what you went through?
I will say there was a period, I would say for the past year, and especially during quarantine, where it was just an absolute free-for-all, and he put on a lot of weight. And that movie didn't really do much for him. But then I sat him down one day and I went through all the shit with him. And I sat him down and I'm like, listen, you don't want this. I know you're a kid and this is like hard to understand. So I'm going to try to put it as simply as possible. I'm like, I see you struggling. I see you struggling to tie your shoes. I see you struggling to run around with your brother and sister and keep up. This struggle will only get worse. As you get older, you won't be able to run around with your friends. You won't be able to wear the clothes you want to wear. You won't be able to go to the pool with your friends. You're going to feel like shit. You won't take your shirt off. You're going to get older and like girls. They won't like you back. I know that sounds painful and shitty. And right now you don't even care about girls. At 8 or 9 years old, you don't give a shit about girls. But, give it 3 or 4 more years. And
I did.
Yeah. Well, I did too. I was always.
When I was 5, I never went through the cootie phase. I was 5 years old. And I'll never forget, I put my head on the lap of my aunt's friend when she was young and toy. And let me tell you, I knew. I was like, girls are great. But you're right. You laid it out for him. You let him know what life could be. And you wanted to circumvent that so he didn't go through the pain.
Right. And thank God, this one time, I don't know why. I guess I scared him straight. Something stuck. I don't know what exactly it was in that conversation that stuck with him. But he's been doing phenomenal, and he's lost a ton of weight, and he looks fucking great. Super healthy.
Okay. Business idea. All right, this is what we're going to do, and you and I are going to do Scared Fat. And it's like the Scared Straight program.
Yes. Fat kid interventions.
Yes, this is what we're going to do. We're going to go around the country, and we're going to get paid to do fat kid interventions. That is great. And I know that we have talked about how we've struggled with food. But as much as we've struggled, there is one thing that I still can never not like. And we've talked about this, but it's the buffet. There's a place in my heart. There are times when you want to go to the buffet and you want to just let it all go in.
There's a freedom to going to a buffet, for sure.
There is. And you know what? Once in a while, it's not so bad. If you can still maintain a healthy weight and just say, bucket a couple times?
In 10th grade, me and our friend Milk, we went to the buffet every single day after school for about 8 months.
The Chinese buffet you guys went to?
Yeah.
I know. What kind of quality did we all think we were going to get for $8?
We weren't going there for the quality. We knew what we were getting. In fact, we used to go there and line our pockets with Ziploc bags. And we had a whole system worked out. So first, we would go up with our plate and fill it only with foods that wouldn't get weird in a bag. So, like, you can't fill your plate with like lo mein,
right?
You know what I mean? Stuff like that,
like
with a lot of sauce and oil.
Chicken wings,
egg rolls, anything that's like that. We would fill the first plate with that. We'd go back to the table, and we would take turns, right? So one of us is the lookout, and the other one is the thief. So the lookout, he's looking around, and as soon as he sees that we're not being watched, he's like, "Okay, clear." And then the other one grabs 2 handfuls of food and shoves them into his pockets. So then the other one looks around and he's like, "Wait for it. Okay, go." And then the other one real quick with the fucking egg rolls. It is fun to go to the buffet. Like, just having that variety, you know, being able to just kind of like walk around and pick the things you want. It's not like picking off a menu.
But now, Ann, pretty much because of what's been going on with COVID, they're gone. And it's making me sad. I think, Ann, that it's time for me. It's been now a couple of months. I think that it's time for me to say goodbye to the buffet. And I wrote a eulogy for the buffet.
I'm still going through my grieving process.
Okay. All right, you're there. Let me heal for you. Okay?
Okay. If you could do that for me, I'll just bow my head and listen.
All right, so let's do this. I think it's time.
Okay.
Today, we are gathered here to say goodbye to a dear friend. I know, man, this is tough. A friend that was there for us when parties, girls, a life, you know, all the things fun, hip, and popular people had. I'm talking about the buffet. In all its glory, it was a centerpiece of life for many fatties, including myself. A place that you can not only call home in your heart, but a place to hide your feelings under a mixture of sodium, cholesterol, and tears. Let's all take a second to remember the plates and plates and plates that were taken from food that represented their specific country. Some would say, go visit that place, understand its culture, and immerse yourself in its beauty. But us, as fat Americans, we said, no, we will not learn or grow as human beings. Only from the waste will we learn all we need. Through lo mein, and tapas, and pizza, and tapas, and hamburgers, tapas, enchiladas, and of course, for some surprising reason, tapas. And I don't know why. A lot of tapas for some reason. Well, in conclusion, you will be missed. Toilets will thank you. Healthcare will thank you. Anyone with a nose and eyes will thank you for not existing anymore. But to me, you will always be the wind beneath my chicken wings. All right, Ann, let it out. Let it out, Ann. Okay, that's a face I can't look at anymore. Well, everyone, no matter what your feelings towards food is, be healthy, be conscious, be kind to each other. I think that we have understood what food is. I think we can work around it. I think we could all be healthier. We have become healthier for it, and I'm thankful for that. We've been through a lot, but I think we have gotten through it. And now in our older age, we are wiser, and we can deal with it in a much better way, right? I think. Well, I want to thank you all for listening to another awesome episode of the Try Not to Laugh podcast. I am Brandon.
I'm Andy.
See you.